Breaking news, guys. Now, on this lesson, I'm going to go and show you guys institutional trading made easy, right? Which is something that you really want to take in consideration because these are going to be the top things that are going to get you up and running as fast as possible with those high risk reward ratios. Now, there's three things that you want to pay attention to. One of those things that you want to pay attention to is going to be expansion moves. All right. You want to pay attention to these expansion moves. These expansion moves are going to be exponential moves that happen in the market that you really want to pay attention to because these areas, market tends to come back into the zones. Now, on top of that, you want to pay attention to these on bigger time frames. So you want to look at these at bigger time frames, such as the daily time frame, 4-hour time frame, 8-hour time frame, 12-hour time frame, the bigger time frames, right? And then you also want to be able to identify imbalance zones. So now, if some of these, words went across your head and you weren't able to take in consideration, don't worry. I'm going to go ahead and explain that to you guys. But before we get into that, please do me a favor this time and gently hit that like button because I've been getting way too many complaints from YouTube that you guys been smashing it, you guys been breaking that like button, which I love it, but I don't want to get complaints from YouTube. So do me a favor and go ahead and gently hit that like button. I'm going to go ahead and let you guys do that so that way I can go ahead and come to this lesson. So now that that like button has been gently, placed, let's go ahead and get ready with this lesson. So you're going to be paying attention to expansion moves, bigger time frames, and imbalance zones. Now, when you pay attention to these areas, you will be able to identify certain moves that are happening. Now, the reason why you want to pay attention to bigger time frames is because you want to see the overall direction. What is the overall direction in the market? As you guys can identify, the overall direction within this whole time has been a bearish market structure, right? We have been bearish within this whole time since April the 20th, since the 20th of April. Since around the 20th of April, we have been bearish, and we have continued on being bearish. So let's say you would have been able to capitalize on that bearish movement from the start all the way up over here. That would have been a good 214 days that you could have been in that trade. Now, trading made simple for institutional trading, things I look at, bigger time frames. Another thing, expansion moves. Expansion moves are going to be levels in which the market moves pretty quickly. As you can see, market moves quickly from this area, from this zone over here, from this zone, so on and so on. So these are expansion moves. These are moves that market does to go ahead and continue on expanding. So later on, it can retract, okay? So those retractions are going to be our retracements. And those retracements typically come into those beginning of the expansion move, right? So right here you are able to identify that we have the start of this expansion move. Now typically when you see an expansion move, it technically takes over structure and direction. So structure is going to be your first structural level that you can pay attention to, and then direction is going to be your second structural level that you pay attention to. So market took out those two structural levels and then comes back into the start of our expansion move, which is this that you can identify over here on the left side. Now, this is the start of the expansion move. Let's get in detail with the expansion move. Let's see how it is that we could caught this great risk reward ratio. Now that we were able to identify the start of this expansion move, you want to be able to pay attention to certain things such as the candlestick formation. Now, the candlestick formation is very important for you to identify because that's going to guide you to understand if this is a liable expansion move or not. Now, typically these areas, you count them as points of interest, which is going to be something that we'll talk about later on in the future. But for right now, I want you guys to identify this right here. So expansion move has been created. Lower time frames, such as the 8-4 time frame, right? What is happening? Structure has shifted. Now that structure has shifted, now it goes ahead and lets me know, yes, this is a good point of interest on the bigger time frame. And not just that, but typically market will create imbalance zones in the market when it comes to expansion moves. So this right here is a nice, good area of imbalance, right? That means that market has not rebalanced itself. That means that there has only been selling pressure within this whole area. So market has been selling and only selling within this candle right here. When it came back, we had some buying opportunities, but within this gap right here, that was only selling pressure. So market is going to tend to come back to that selling pressure that was created so we can go ahead and rebalance itself and then continue on then going lower. So understand that when market comes into the zone, okay, you want to be able to identify, okay,